everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the highly anticipated S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla vs. Kong Mechagodzilla. Now this is likely to be my final review for 2021, so I want to take this time to wish you guys all a very happy new year, and I cannot wait to see as to what 2022 has in store for us. This guy has been one that I've been super excited for. If you've watched my Godzilla and Kong reviews, you guys all know I thought they were smashing figures, and in my personal opinion this does appear to be the best live action Mechagodzilla figure that we've seen so far, at least in terms of articulation. You can see here from the front of the box we have a fantastic image there of the actual figure. As we spin around here to the back we have a whole host of images demonstrating the articulation as well as some of the hidden missile features, and we've of course got Mechagodzilla facing off against Kong as well as Godzilla. I was a huge fan of this guy in the movie. I thought the design was awesome. My only critique was that I didn't think we saw enough of him. I would have loved that final battle to at least have been extended by an additional 5 or 10 minutes just to truly showcase the power of this particular character, but nevertheless we'll crack him open and of course see as to whether or not he was indeed worth the hype and anticipation that's been building ever since his initial announcement. And here we have Mechagodzilla cracked open out of the packaging and fully activated to terrorize both the S.H.MonsterArts Kong as well as Godzilla. This guy is actually really well done. Not 100% perfect, and for the price point maybe he should be, but we'll delve into some of my qualms throughout this review. I'm actually really pleasantly surprised at the articulation. I don't know whether or not it's because I've been dealing for the most part of this year with that Playmates version, but it's actually so awesome to get a live action movie version of this guy, of which can actually perform and pull off quite a few fair dynamic poses. Now we'll get stuck straight here into the details. You can see that in regards to that face sculpt, that just looks so nice. Literally from every single angle this guy's been sculpted and painted beautifully. You can see there for the interior of the mouth we've got some really nice sculpt work as well as some gunmetal applied there to the bottom, as well as here for the roof, although sadly he is indeed missing the proton scream. I have no idea as to why they've decided to skip that, as of course that was his most utilized weapon that we saw him deploy throughout the movie, and this guy doesn't in fact actually come with any blast effect as an accessory, which I think is a major missed opportunity. That was also something that was missing on their version of Godzilla, so not entirely sure as to why they're deciding to in fact actually skip those for these releases. But other than that, I think the sculpt as well as paint there looks super nice. You can see here for the spinal region, I also think this has turned out beautifully. You can see the subtle highlighting there of red. Sadly no form of red paint app actually used here for the torso, and I do wish that maybe we could have gotten some here for these side panels, definitely where this gunmetal region is concerned, and maybe some scattered throughout this just to break up the predominantly silver color scheme that this guy's got. But other than that, I think the sculpt looks really nice. You can see here for the torso region, very nicely sculpted as well as painted. The same can also be applied here for this upper breastplate, and you can see there for the shoulders that looks really nicely done. Of course we've got some fantastic sculpt work going along here for the shoulders as well as for the forearms of Mechagodzilla. You can see those claws looking super menacing, once again fully painted as well as sculpted. And then as we just spin our attention here to the side, you can see those ribs looking really awesome, as so are those thighs. And you can see here we've got the hydraulics at the back of the knees, of which are in fact fully functioning, but I'll demonstrate that throughout the articulation segment. And you can see here finally for the base of the foot, that all looks really nicely done. Something which I'm pretty certain is a new or a first for this guy is in fact that he does indeed have die cast. Now that actually adds a great sense of weight, and it's mainly some of the joints of which have been reinforced with die cast, so it really does add a great sense of stability when actually posing him around, which I thought was awesome. And of course here finally for the tail, you can see all of those beautiful individually sculpted segments, of which once more have been painted and sculpted super nicely. Now a main qualm that I have with this guy is that I do find him to be slightly too metallic. I did in fact actually rewatch the movie last night in order to prep for this review, and I did find him to be slightly more gunmetal when in comparison to this almost pristine silver that we've got going on. It doesn't look bad by any stretch of the imagination, but if they were going for 100% movie accuracy, this guy should have been dialed down just a touch in terms of how bright he actually comes across. But other than that, I think he's sculpted as well as painted really nicely. As mentioned beforehand, literally from every single angle he looks so awesome. Now in regards to articulation, Mechagodzilla's jaw of course can open and close to quite a great extent, so you can open it that wide as well as fully compress it just to showcase how that face looks once the jaw is concealed. Very nicely done. We do get a ball joint here at the head, which can look left to right as well as up and down, and of course we do get a hinge joint here at the neck. Sadly it can't look up the best, but of course can look down to quite a considerable degree, much like we saw in the film. These shoulder pads here are on hinge joints, so can go up and down. We also do in fact get a butterfly joint here for the shoulders, which is super cool, so of course you can get him pounding down on Godzilla like we saw in the movie. We do get a full range of motion here at the shoulder, hinge joint there out to the sides, as well as a rotation here at the bicep. Of course a hinge joint which can bend past 90 degrees here at the elbow, a full ball joint here at the wrist. Sadly the fingers can't in fact fact actually open and close. He does come with an additional pair of hands, of which I'll showcase in just a second, and we don't get any form of torso articulation. Now this is super frustrating, as I really just want to get this guy and twist the waist so that we could get him into some slightly more natural poses, but that's completely impossible this time around, as this here is a solid piece and the actual interior of this is fully die cast. So that is a little bit unfortunate, but as we take a look here towards the actual hips, these can hinge forwards and backwards, and you can once again see there the working piston mechanism. That looks super cool. Of course, they can hinge back and forth, and that's fully working there. Rotate left to right, and then here for the actual knee, this can bend forwards and backwards. You can see there the actual tri-piston that we've got going on, so that can hinge forwards and backwards. And here for the foot, this section can move out of the way, as so can this piece here, to allow the foot to hinge forwards, backwards, as well as of course rock side to side to once again a pretty decent range. And the tail here is just full of individual segments, so we can hinge this up and down pretty much in every single way that you would want, and it does in fact actually hold together and look slightly more realistic when in comparison to their Godzilla figure, in my opinion. The only area of which is indeed a complete solid piece would be these final 4 strands. You can see how they are completely solid. They cannot articulate at all, so it is merely just this section which can hinge back and forth. But other than that, I think in terms of articulation, it's leagues beyond anything that we've seen from Playmates, and I really do find this to be the best articulated Mechagodzilla figure that we've seen so far. Now, in regards to some of the hidden features, Mechagodzilla surprisingly actually has a lot of firepower actually packed into him. So you can see here for the top, we've got these missile pods, which look really, really nice. You can see fully painted as well as sculpted. I do believe he's supposed to, in fact, actually have some boosters. Sadly, they're not shown on this, and it would have been cool if you could have lifted this flap up to reveal those, but this is just a solid piece. But here at the shoulder, you can indeed actually hinge this up and do a sneak attack on Godzilla, and of course fire away, which is really nice. You can see how that's completely picked out there in gunmetal, and the same can also be applied here to this shoulder. So just hinge this section up, so he's got double missiles there stored away in the actual shoulders. And then here for the torso region, you're in fact going to want to take this bottom one first, hinge this down, and that will allow you to then subsequently pull all the other ones down. You can see those missile barges actually hidden away in the torso, which is a super nice attention to detail. So overall, I'm actually really impressed with this guy. Had he included a proton scream, he probably would have been almost 100% perfect. I do just wish the color scheme was slightly more muted and that he was a little more gunmetal in terms of design. But other than that, the attention to detail as well as articulation makes this undoubtedly the best live action Mechagodzilla that we've ever seen. Accessory wise, sadly he only includes a pair of additional hands, of which are in a closed gesture. So as mentioned beforehand, no proton scream included with this guy at all, no battle damage components, and I really do wish that we could have gotten a slightly varied array of accessories other than just these sculpted hands, as these really do look rather poor. And to be honest, considering that he is significantly more expensive when in comparison to both Kong and Godzilla, once more, I don't think it would have hurt at all to include that proton scream. But these are very easy to remove. Of course, you just pop off the pre-existing fists, and then we can just snap these ones here just like so, and there you've got the closed hand, which actually really helps for in fact actually getting this guy gripping onto either Kong or Godzilla when trying to pull off some of those more dynamic action poses. Turning to some size comparisons, here we have the S.H.MonsterArts Mechagodzilla compared next to the GVK Godzilla, S.H.MonsterArts Kong, as well as finally the Playmates GVK Mechagodzilla. And so, some final thoughts for this S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla vs. Kong Mechagodzilla. Overall, I think this figure is awesome. It's by far the best live-action movie Mechagodzilla that we've seen released so far, especially in regards to articulation. It's just so awesome to, in fact, actually be able to pose this guy around, unlike the Playmates version, which, to be honest, is the only real Mechagodzilla that we've actually been able to get our hands on for the best part of this year. I think that in regards to the attention to detail, this guy once again looks flawless, as you would expect from S.H.MonsterArts. Of course, there are a few details of which are missing. Most noticeably would be the proton scream actually embedded within the mouth. I have no idea as to why they decided to skip that at all. And in regards to accessories, he really is lacking, much like we actually saw from the GVK version of Godzilla. I have no idea as to why they didn't include an actual proton scream. It really is a missed opportunity and prevents this guy being even more cooler than he actually is. I think the articulation is really well executed. Of course, for a mechanical character, you would expect there to be limitations, but for the most part, I've actually been able to get this guy into a fair few dynamic poses, and I really love the way he looks when compared next to both Kong as well as Godzilla. I think that in regards to the addition of diecast, it really does add not only a great sense of weight to this guy, but reinforces some of those joints that perhaps you'd be hesitant to actually move had they just been plastic. I really love the hydraulic functionality that we've got going on for the actual thighs as well as for the knees of this figure. I think it makes him look super authentic to the movie, and in terms of paint, he looks wicked. My only critique would be that I wish perhaps the silver was slightly dialed down in order to resemble a more gunmetal appearance designs like we actually saw from the film, but I really love the subtle detailings such as the embedded missiles or rockets in the shoulders as well as the torso. And in all, if you're a fan of GVK and you want the best version of Mechagodzilla that is currently out there, then I would definitely recommend this figure. And if you already own the S.H.MonsterArts Kong and Godzilla, then you definitely have to pick this guy up. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this review. I'd love to hear your thoughts on both the review as well as the figure down in the comment section below. And until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.